So I will call to order the July 15th, 2020 regular meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority. At this time, we'll do a quick roll call. Director Baglio.
Here.
Director Yezbik. Do we have Director Yezbik?
Here.
Thank you.
Hello?
Thank you, yes. Director Riley.
Here.
Director Rossbach.
Here.
Director Krieger.
Here.
And I am here, and I think that is the roll call for currently right now. We are good with public comment. Everybody is up to date and received all the information. So I'll move on to item number 4, approval of the meeting minutes from June 17th, 2020. Is there any comments, additions, or deletions to those minutes? Okay, if not, I'll ask for a resolution to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Director Rossbach, seconded by Director Riley. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Mike, we
Yes.
need roll calls on all the votes.
Oh, on all the votes?
Yep.
Okay. Wasn't there? Okay. So we will, going back to item number 4, approval of the meeting minutes. I'll start again with Director Baglio.
I was not there.
Okay. Director Yezbik. Director Yezbik, are you present?
I think he's muted.
There we go. Director Yezbik,
Yes.
thank you. Director Riley,
Yes.
thank you. Director Rossbach,
Yes.
Director Krieger,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The motion passes. Item number 5, expense items for informational purposes only. Any questions for staff? I see one hand, Director Riley.
Yeah, Tim, there's 2 different spots there for the Rebound Awards. And the question I have in the second one where it said second payment, were those ones where we gave a quarter and then a second quarter, or?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And then, what was the other one I had? Oh, the stormwater site work. Just refresh my memory on that one.
The DDA budgeted a total of $500,000 for 2 items related to the Royal Oak Civic Center project. One was site and stormwater work around the police station and City Hall area, that area over there. Primarily the stormwater in front of the police station.
Got it.
And that was done prior to the end of the fiscal year, so it was in June. The other one that's budgeted, the remaining $250,000 is in relation to a parking lot that may get built south of the psychology clinic that's off of Knowles, in order to free up 22 parking spaces that are currently restricted to that business's use. The City Commission on Monday approved the special land use for that, and so staff will be sending it out to bid. When the bids are done, we'll bring it back, and depending on the amount and the award, if the DDA wants to proceed, you'll vote to proceed. But that funding's budgeted, carried through into this year. So you've got 2 items related to the Civic Center project.
Okay. All right. That's all I got.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the expense items? Seeing none? Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, 505 South Main Street. Tim, you want to handle this one?
I'll start. I did receive a call from Stephen Bacall. I believe he's on the phone. I sent him the invite. You may recall that the DDA previously awarded, I believe it was 3,000. Let me pull it up. $3,255 for a portion of the streetscape work on 5th Street adjacent to 505 South Main, the restaurant that's under construction there. I did receive a call from Mr. Bacall, and he asked for an opportunity to speak with the board in order to request additional funding related to that. I do believe he's on as part of the meeting, so I'll stop there. And I didn't get any other information in terms of what the request was, but I provided your background materials.
So just, Tim, the materials that were in the packet, that was for what was already submitted from the infrastructure committee and approved by the DDA.
That's correct.
So what we're getting now is a new request that hasn't gone before the infrastructure committee, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Mr. Bacall, do we have you on the phone?
He has not called in. I've been watching the waiting room.
Okay, should we postpone
Well, I
this?
guess you can pass over and go to the next item. If he does show up, we can always come back to it.
Okay,
I simply put it on at his request. So.
okay. So we will put a hold on item number 6, move on to item number 7, parking discussion.
This item, the DDA will recall you allocated $100,000 to have free parking during the month of July 2020, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day in the parking decks. The board did have a request to track that. When I presented it to the powers that be at the city, they just decided to leave the structures open. So basically, eating any additional cost for providing that free parking. As I indicated in the memo, I was told that in July of 2019, the overall revenue generated exceeded 200,000. So anyways, that's how it's operated for the month of July so far. The board asked for a report back at this meeting as to how it was going. We're not quite operating where we're tracking tickets at the gates. So, so that's the first part of the reason it's on the agenda today. The second part is whether or not you wanted to continue free parking into August. And if you did, you would need another resolution to do so. I would point out again that the public comment email was an item particularly related to parking items, but this is just a discussion to see where you want to go with free parking and or other issues.
Okay, I'll open it up to the floor. Director Riley.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of stuff out there for everyone to think about, and I'll tell you, I don't have a solid position one way or another with regard to what we do or how we do it. A lot to synthesize right here. The public comment letter from Mr. Hobrecht, some stuff to think about there. A lot I agree with. The $100,000 versus the $200,000 last year, we might be getting off cheap. We might be paying way more than we need to, but we'll never know based on who goes in or who goes out. Finally, we have a ton of momentum going, which I'll let Sean talk about when the time is right, with the programs that are going on and the success that we've seen so far. I would be totally in favor of continuing something through August, one way or another, in some form or another, whether it's what we're doing now or some parts of Mr. Holbrook's suggestions or a combination of the two. I fully cognizant of our bond requirements and responsibilities. Not sure how we want to fall if we decide to go further with regard to permit parking. Again, I agree with a lot of the things that Mr. Holbrook said. Suffice to say that it's getting out there a lot that we're offering ride share promos into town for a lot of people, which amounts to practically a free ride. Only problem might be getting a lift at times. I think we're getting closer with coming to a deal with Uber, but I'll let Sean speak to that. Royal Oak Bucks program is, in a word, hot, and it really. I know I've listened to Drew's podcast, and he's pounding all three of them at the same time and just going overboard on how much Royal Oak is doing and how progressive we've been. And I've had conversations with people who are just, in a word, amazed at how we've circled everything and we've quote unquote thought of everything in terms of rides, parking, and money. So I think it'd be, again, seizing on momentum would be pretty cool to continue something through August, whether we do it the way we did it for July, or we do something along the lines, we pull parts off of Mr. Holbrook's ideas or whatever. So again, I don't have a feeling one way or the other. I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
Okay, Director Baglio.
Tim, I don't know much about the parking system in the garages, but is it possible and would it be helpful if tickets were, parking tickets were issued with the gates down to track how many people are going in without charging them? Is that possible to program?
Well, that's basically what we did a year ago on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, was the gates were down. They were programmed. The people would take a ticket out as they entered. When they would put the ticket in on exit, the gate would simply go up. There would be no charge or fee. And that's what the board talked about doing for July 2020 this year. When I indicated to the parking staff people in the police department that are running it, their feeling was that if we did that 7 days, 24 hours a day, it would be a confusing message. So it was their choice to simply leave the gates up and let people come and go. So it was very clear it was free. So that's why I did. Yes, the technology can track them, and that's what we did do a year ago.
My thought is we're already getting some goodwill by making the structures free. I'm getting feedback from the customers that are coming back to Royal Oak to shop and to my stores. And if we are going to continue, I would recommend that we continue in the same vein in the month of August, just to keep the continuity of the message and not confuse it by changing it to 2 hours free or whatever that might be. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay, Director Rosbeck.
Yes, I want to echo Gary and Matt's comments. I think we should continue in August, but I wish we could have this a little more trackable. I'm not certain that our $100,000 is really what's being spent. And I do think the public comment ideas should be looked at and reviewed for a number of reasons. I do think that what was said about the amount of activities going on in Royal Oak don't really elicit for that flat fee anymore. And until things come back and continue to come back, I think even 75 cents an hour, 24 hours a day is something rather than nothing. But again, maybe that's when we think about that in September or something like that. But I would be in agreement to keep free parking for August.
Okay. I do have some comments that I'd like to put in, but if you'd like to go, Matt, that's fine.
Just real quick question. I think Jennifer brings up a pretty neat approach. In that maybe for the consistency, and I agree with what Gary and Jennifer said, that for the sake of continuity, it probably doesn't make sense to try to garble it up now. But maybe we put something already on the agenda for the August meeting to revisit and hold Mr. Holbrook's, whether we can put it on the agenda or not, or we just keep copies of it and look at that, because it really is, it does make a lot of sense in reading it. You know, the whole idea of why we put in the $5 really doesn't exist anymore. He makes a great point of how many hours you got to sit at a restaurant and eat to get that money. And then a question, Tim, on the 100,000, and a question, two questions. First, two-part question. Did people buy permits in July, or did they sit back and wait and see what we did? And number two, you know, I more than anybody hate to spend money that we don't have to spend. But like I said, with the 100,000, like, I'm not sure whether we're getting a deal or whether we're overspending. And I kind of like the idea of the gates being up, because it does, like, I can picture myself I mean, I went downtown to go bike riding and parked in one of the Renson lots and got a receipt, and I figured, oh, it's going to be free no matter what. It doesn't matter. And I clicked the thing on the way out expecting the gate to go up, and it told me I owed $16. So it can get confusing. But the way I think of it is that, and tell me if I'm wrong, Tim, but I mean, we're putting 100 grand in there, and even if it would have only been 70, one way or another, we're probably going to end up paying another 30 grand in some way of making good on the parking, because I don't think any of us know where we're going to end up with these two new garages sitting there and the bonds that we've got sitting there. And when all this shakes out, where we're going to be sitting with regard to performance and parking fund.
I guess to answer your first question regarding monthly permits, I do believe they are selling them for the surface lots, because they are enforcing the meters and street meters and things. In terms of the garages, I would be surprised if anyone is acquiring them. But I'd have to check with the treasurer and see if any have. But I would be surprised if they have.
What's your take on I mean, I know you don't have a crystal ball, and God knows that for some reason the parking numbers are the most guarded secret in the city of Royal Oak. But,
well, in terms of usage, I'm not here enough during the evenings on a Friday and Saturday night to say what those uses are like. I think some of you that may be down here would have a better feel for those evening usage. I would say during the daytime, the decks are not near capacity. The 11-mile deck has probably got 2 floors that people park on, and most of those are contractors that are working on
right.
The projects that are around it, from what I can tell. So, and they leave about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So it's hard to say. The revenue generation from a year ago is a hard number that finance can provide. And I think the idea that the DDA had last month in terms of tracking it would have provided a good measure, but I don't have any way to tell you how, without tracking it, without putting the gates down and taking tickets and take whether or not you're overspending or underspending.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
And
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, one second,
mind-
Mr. Yasbeck.
Keep in mind, though, this is for all 4 decks. It's
Right.
It's not just for one or that. So.
No, very true.
Okay.
Very true. All right.
I'm going to go to Director Yasbeck first.
I'm sorry. One more quick question. And the 200,000, that was just for Thursday. That was just weekends, right? Thursday through Sunday.
No, the 200,000 was the revenue generated in July of 2019.
For all 4 decks for 7 days a week total.
Right.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Sorry, Tony. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go to Director Yesbeck first and then Director Krieger. Director Yesbeck?
Yes, I almost 100% agree with what's been said. I think I would suggest it might be a better approach to treat this more as a process. I mean, July, free decks all month. It was a nice thing. I think we have to slowly get back into some normalcy. I really like the proposal for 2 hours free all day, all night. I think it's something that we've talked about doing in the past on a continuous basis. And that would allow us to take care of those short-term customers, not discourage them, but at the same time, not continuing to pay the entire freight for the city when I don't know that we really have to with these other successful programs that we have. I think the money could be better spent in one of those avenues. I would push for the 2 hour free parking. I think you can really make a positive, public image statement on that in our monthly or our newsletter that everybody, 1 million people have subscribed to now. You can get the message out. I don't think that's the issue, and that's still a very nice thing. It limits our financial commitment. I think you'd also maybe be able to sell some monthly permits in the decks again. So I don't think it makes sense to continue to pay everything for everybody. Let's ease into 2 hours free and let's start generating a little more revenue. It's just because it's a wild guess, 100,000 anyway. This forces them to start tracking. I think it's good to know how many people are coming in the city and how many people are using the garages. And so you'd have to do that to track our 2 hour, if we were financially responsible for the 2 hours free beyond the 5 o'clock time frame. So I would just push to keep doing something positive, but I wouldn't continue the whole thing for August.
One thing, Tim, if we were, like, let's say that we said, we're not going to do free parking, we're going to do the 2 hours free any time of day. Would that just be the new rule? Obviously, they would have to go to the commission to be approved. And would they ask us to subsidize something in return? Number one. Number two, Tony, the only thing I'd say is that once we get through August, we're through the summer, basically. I mean, when you get to Labor Day, I don't know. I know it's still summer, but maybe that's the time that we go into it, because it does kind of, it makes a nice little neat package story when you're given, you got Uber, Lyft rides, which no matter how much we try, are probably going to be used primarily at night. But the parking can be used all day and all night, and the bucks can be used all day and all night. In fact, I think what I'm seeing, Sean knows the numbers better than I, but from the people I'm hearing from groups and stuff, it's really kind of cool how spread out in ages that's being used. I just think it kind of makes for a nice little neat package if we continue what Gary and Jennifer said for the next month and get us through the quote unquote summer.
Okay, I got to go to Director Krieger first.
Okay.
I was going to make a motion to extend the free parking program into the month of August to get things moving. I was 50-50 which way to go, and I heard, I think, more thoughts about extending it. I like what Matt Riley just said about it kind of covers you through the summer, and it gives us time to then think about what to do next and how to do it.
Okay.
Again, I believe we have to do everything we can to help the businesses in the downtown, and this is one thing we can do. That's my motion.
Okay, so first I have a motion on the table by
Second.
Director Krieger. Seconded by Director Rosbeck, is that correct? Director?
Yes.
Okay, seconded by Director. Now it's time for discussion. Director Baglio, did you want to address the board at this point?
Tim, I just wondered if the parking committee should convene sometime in August to discuss Mr. Holbrecht's email and other avenues going forward into the fall.
Okay. I'm going to take that one, Tim, if you don't mind. Part of my comment, this was on my list for comments for this item. there has been some discussion about 2 to 3 members of the DDA meeting with 2 to 3 members of the city commission to specifically talk about the parking fund, and moving forward for the remainder of the year. So I think we can push for that to happen and get some more clarity. I also think that one of our committees should take the issue up in terms of looking at potential alternatives as to simply doing one thing, maybe doing multiple things, as we discussed here in the comments and what was brought to us in public comment also. I think Director Krieger has the right path here, the right thought here. There's a timing issue here because literally whatever we want to do either has to be done today or it's not going to be done until August 15th or the next meeting in August. So I agree with everybody's comments that I think the prudent thing to do is to stay the course, finish out at least till the August meeting with the path that we've been taking up to this point. And in the meantime, our committee one of our committees can look at this more in detail, and we can meet with the city commission to get more potential information back from them about usages and about the parking fund and some other things involved. So I think we're all on the same page here. That's my last comment. So if anybody else has anything.
Mike, the infrastructure committee is going to need to meet. That's generally who has dealt with the parking issues. We've probably got 3 items that they need to meet and talk about. So
okay. So I guess we'll direct this discussion back to, and you can put it on that agenda, Tim, for discussion. I think the only question that I have for you, Tim, is do you think that as we move forward, as we go from now until August and we're paying for the month of August, are we going to do tracking, or do you think we're just going to leave the gates open again? And
well, Mr. Brake's not on the phone today.
okay.
Or on the call yet, so it's really,
maybe you can find out. I mean, either way, we're going to participate either way, but maybe the tracking would be helpful in terms of.
I will express that that's the DDA's preferred method, not only in terms of tracking the actual, but also trying to get numbers on how many people are coming, the usage, and some of those things. So I think that, you know, you've got more reasons than just tracking expenses.
Okay.
I'll express that to them, and sure that they'll go from there.
Great, thank you. So we do have a motion on the table and a second. If there's no further discussion, I'm going to call for the vote. Seeing none, okay. Roll call vote, please. Director Baglio.
Aye.
Director Yesbick.
Aye.
Director Riley.
Yes.
Director Rossman.
Yes.
Director Krieger.
Aye.
And I will vote aye also. The motion does pass.
Yeah, and just once again, I think when you guys in the infrastructure committee, if you guys can keep a copy of Mr. Holbrook's letter, not, you know, and there's just some interesting ideas.
For sure.
And Tony, I think this is it's a win-win. I think we're taking Jennifer and Gary's idea and yours. We're just going to pick yours up next month.
And then also, I guess Sean, I'll direct it to Sean. Sean, so we will kind of keep pumping the message out there that this is being offered through the end of August at least, or currently, however you believe that it should be marketed. I leave that in your hands, I guess.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I already have some designs put together. The graphic design is all done with August, just to be prepared. So we have those ready to roll. So
perfect. Director Rosbeck, did you have something?
Yeah. I just wanted to put a name in, my name in for that committee on parking, if
okay,
as a representative.
Thank you.
And Sean, one thing, why don't you give some thought about it, and we'll give like Drew the talk, like the right talking points, because he'll be able to pump that really good at the right time, you know, to tailor it into due to, you know, we can really make it look nice due to the success of Royal Oak Bucks and da 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 da. All this is going out there where you need somewhere to park, so they're going to give you the parking too, to make it look really cool. See what I'm saying? Cool.
Right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So I'm going to move on to item number 8, social districts. You want to start, Tim? I think you're muted. There you go.
Yeah. What I did distribute was a copy of the communication city attorney sent out to the city commission. The city commission did discuss this item at their meeting on Monday evening. Basically, the city commission took a wait and see position, a wait and see in the sense of to see if there was a interest from the business community, the DDA, or others that would bring this forward in the form of a request to create social districts. If everyone is familiar with what the legislation was, it allowed local units of government to create districts where people could go into a participating restaurant or establishment that provides alcoholic beverages, buy a beverage, carry it out into a social district and place to place. And there are some nuance to it in terms of the program and things. I think one of the biggest concerns for the city commission was the operation, the policing, the trash pickup, all of the items fall to the local unit to take care of, not to the individual establishments that may participate through a permit process. Anyways, the city commission did not take any formal action other than to say they're going to wait and see. They didn't vote against it. They didn't vote to direct staff to do anything with it. I put it in front of you as a discussion item, knowing that they were going to talk about it on Monday to see where the DDA's interest might be in this program. I also sent out an email earlier today that included a plan that was put together in the city of Port Huron. It's the only one that I'm aware of that's that far along. I don't know whether they voted on it on their last Monday night or not, but it's a fairly detailed plan of some of the elements that are included in terms of where people would get the number of, because you can only use a 16 ounce plastic cup that has to have logos imprinted on it, things like that. So there's a lot of detail to it. The city would have to define the boundary, put up signs, markers, things to indicate where those boundaries are and where people could get. As I said, the cleanup for it, the enforcement of it, all of those things fall to the city to put together. So just for your information, there's no recommendation, and it's here for whatever input the board members may have.
Okay. So I think we have some comments that people want to make. I want to clear up one thing though, Tim, before I go to the floor here. In this discussion, up to this point, in this discussion that the city has had regarding to this social districts, is that combined with street closures? And how does that come into play here? If you could briefly tell us.
Well, it's not necessary to close streets in a social district. You can. The city could close streets. The statute basically says if you're going to propose closing streets, the entity that controls the streets has to agree to do so, i.e. the city of Royal Oak controls all the streets downtown. Close them. It's not necessary to close them.
Okay. I guess the reason why I bring that up, board members, was that I did reach out to some people, in particular the Restaurant Association, who I could see a lot of their members, participating in this possibly. It is an opt-in thing. I don't think you have to participate if you don't want to, but you can sign up for it if you do want to. And that was one of the questions that kept popping up among the members is, are we talking about closing streets and people walking in the middle of the streets, or are we just continuing normal business, but allowing people to walk on the sidewalks and be part of the social district? I did not get an opportunity, and I don't know if you did, Gary, or anybody else, to get any kind of indication from the retail community, how they felt about, this and so forth. So anyway, that was my thoughts. The Restaurant Association really didn't have a strong sense. I guess they were looking for more information as this moves forward. They didn't really have a strong support or denial on either side of the fence for this, up till this point. So that's the best information that I can bring to the table. So let's go first. Anybody? Director Riley.
Tim, the wait and see attitude, was that with, and I'm sorry, I missed that. Was it with regard to what our take was, or what other cities were doing, or all the above? What was this? What was the city's wait and see attitude about?
Well, I guess to paraphrase some of them, the wait and see was, none of them had heard it from anyone to say, oh, this is really needed. And there didn't seem to be a push to make this move forward. The city has instituted, as a lot of you know, the COVID-19 temporary use permits to address individual businesses in terms of letting them use street parking and other locations. So we've done that from the city's end. So I think a lot of the wait and see was, well, they weren't getting a lot of communications that this was something that businesses were interested in pursuing. So if that's not the case, the city commission, I don't think, saw the point in trying to move forward with something where all of the effort, liability, programming would fall to city. And then again, it was mid-July, and I think part of their discussion was, well, by the time this gets in place, we'll be close to mid-August, and the summer will be winding down. So there just wasn't a feeling of this was something that rise to the level to make move forward. That doesn't mean if the DDA isn't interested that you can't start programming it, talking about it, do something about it in the future. Because the statute runs through 2024.
4 or 5, yeah.
Somewhere in there, I think. So it could be something you could move forward. I would say that the COVID-19 special use permits expire in October of this year, at the end of October. So unless the city commission extends something or does something different, all of those are anticipated to go away. But so I just looking for input, whether this is something you wanted staff between Sean and myself to work with others to make this move forward.
And then, we discussed this, Tim, briefly at the BMC, and I think if we were going to do this, I think that you had a pretty good firm grip on what the footprint needed to be. And in our case, the footprint's pretty large. And I don't know, I'm totally torn on this one. I've talked to some people, like the rest of you. I haven't got anybody who's vehemently, yeah, we have to do this. We have to do this. A part of me says we've got a lot of these programs that we're really just rolling out, and we haven't seen, how the efficacy of these and what they're going to bring. At the same time, when I drive around, and I know Tim, that there were several outdoor use COVID permits approved for outdoor dining. and people are having a difficult time staffing in order to fill those spaces. I know I just noticed a couple more just went up. I know Luigi got his up, and little by little they're just coming up. And this one, there's parts of this that I love and parts of this that I don't love. I worry about, just people. I read through the Port Huron thing, and just I don't know the area perfectly well, but judging by the number of people involved and the areas involved, it's a much smaller area. It's something that can be, it's much more localized per se. They are limiting it till midnight. I would think that if we did anything, we could limit it to midnight, probably sooner than that. I would think. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think what the purpose is. One of the things I've heard of, like where it seems it would help is people who that now, and this is just now. This that the governor's orders are such that anybody who's a quote unquote bar and or a restaurant, a bar can't have anybody inside at all, and a restaurant can't have anybody inside who's not seated. So I think in this order, somebody could walk up to the bar without a seat and get a drink and walk out with it. And I wonder if there's enough business in that to make it worthwhile. The downside I see is, people getting their drinks and congregating in an outdoor area. And, one thing that would really scare me about this is that everybody towards the end of the night or the end of the district hours all ends up congregating in one big area with their drinks, and you got a big, outdoor party going on. That, I don't know if that's what we're looking for. So,
Mr. Chairman.
I'll go with Director Yesbeck first, and then Director Roswick.
I think
Director
this
Yesbeck.
can be, yes, thank you. I think this can be an effective tool if used in the right way. I agree with Director Riley in that if you don't use it in the right way, it could get out of hand. The city and Fifth Avenue, the bar in particular, has already endured some negative press from alleged overcrowding and so forth. And so if there was a social district and everybody ended up on Fifth Street, because that's typically where the party is toward the end of the night, that could be a bad situation for everybody, including Fifth Avenue, because it's just a big space and a big party, and there's no ability to control how many people you have on the street. Now, where I think this can be very effective, and I in response to Tim's description of nobody really knows how they would use it, what I would suggest and what I think people could get excited about is that if we approve the district, and it can be the whole downtown area, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but it's approved, licensees can then apply to the state for their special social district licensee permit. And then, but you have to control it, and you have to control the number of people that might be in any given area at any given time. What I like about Port Huron is they provide that the management of the social district goes through the Downtown Development Authority director, a Tim, or the chief of police, our chief. To me, the only way this makes sense is that if you approve the district, the people that are interested apply to the state for their licenses to sell alcohol for the commons areas, and then you have Tim or the chief approve specific uses of the district. In other words, let's say Rock on Third or Fifth Avenue or Pronto, for that matter, wanted to do a thing in the street, maybe some entertainment like Jason Gittinger does on Center Street with the stage. We go to that individual, goes to Tim or the chief, explains the concept, the timing of when they want to have it, how they're going to control. Maybe in that specific situation, you can have only ticketed events or something so you can control the number of people. To me, that's the only way this concept can be effective is if you exercise sufficient control so it doesn't get out of hand in any way, and we prevent the opportunity or the situation where people can call us irresponsible and all the unflattering adjectives that I've been beaten up with over the last couple weeks. So that would be my approach to it. I think it can be very exciting if used in the right way. I think the right way is to even like a bar crawl to get people in town, but that's a ticketed event. You know how many tickets you sell, so you know how many people are going to be around the streets. And the obvious upside is for somebody like Fifth Avenue or other bar that doesn't even have the use of their inside right now, that would provide some flexibility, and all of a sudden we can serve drinks again to people that are walking around in the Commons area. I guess that's my thoughts. It can be very good, but it has to be done carefully. I think Port Huron has a good approach.
Okay. Director Rossbeck. Yep, you're muted. There we go.
I was going to say similar things to that Tony said. I believe that if you can truly outline what this district is, who's involved in the district, have management over the district, and even I agree, I think ticketing it would be actually a really good opportunity. I do know just anecdotally that there is a lot of Royal Oak community members that think this is a good idea to have a social district. And they probably feel more safe in doing that or as opposed to going into a restaurant or otherwise right now. So it's one half dozen or the other kind of thing because of the fact that the other downside to it is, I agree, you get, if you serve too much, you have issues of overcrowding or not social distancing, and even at the end of the night, you've got people driving home at some point if they're not taking a ride share. So.
Yeah. Okay, Director Riley.
And Tim, enlighten me here. I mean, the way I understood social districts to be is that it's like you basically, cities can map out an area and say, okay, that's a social district. People are allowed, if they have the right cup with the right stickering, what bought at the right places, to walk around with their drink. And I think it was kind of, yeah, there's going to be some administration involved in terms of policing it, cleaning it up, having trash bins, making sure everybody's following the rules, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't know if it was, and I'm sure it's something you can turn on and off, be it by hours of either months of the year or hours of the day. But I don't think it's meant, I really didn't know, is it meant to be an event by event thing or something where, you know, in other words, in the downtown, just so everybody understands, I think the only fair way to do it would probably be, I mean, you're looking at basically a big block of land, like maybe from Knowles to Lafayette to the Hyatt down to, you know, just beyond Lincoln, and that's your area. And basically, people are just can walk around with their drinks and can you know, they have to obviously get them from a certain place. But I don't know that it can be something. Yeah, one benefactor would be if somebody decides that they're having their own event where a special license is not needed, because I've read that if it is needed, that violates the district. In other words, like an Arts Beats and Eats would violate the district. But that would just be an adjunct to it, I guess. I don't think it's meant to be something whereby it's like, okay, you got this little, you know, event space, so to speak.
Well, I think you could, I think it's somewhat flexible. I think that if you look at the Port Huron model, they have two areas that they refer to as commons.
Okay.
And you may be able to set it up in some fashion to allow, and again, I'm not sure where in Royal Oak we would do that at this point other than a surface parking lot, but maybe you indicate in your plan that those would be set up on a Friday night or a Saturday or whatever day for, you're going to play music there as well. You're going to do something that would be above and beyond the normal, but that's only going to occur when you would do it. So I think all of those things you would have to put into your plan, and that's how you would have to sign it, regulate it, and run it forward. I'm not sure I agree with you. I don't think you'd end up where you're getting individual requests. You just put this space aside, and if Fifth Avenue wanted to provide a band out there at some point, they could. Port Huron's model, they're selling all the cups for 50 cents or $1, if I remember. You had to buy them, so they're generating revenue from it. So I think there's ways to do that as well.
Yeah, they're charging for the cup and the sticker. And
Yes.
And Tim, but if it were in that particular area, then anybody that would be the sort of, I guess, the public area. But people would be able to buy from anybody in the district, correct?
No, each individual, my understanding again, is each individual restaurant that has or establishment that has a liquor license would also have to apply and get approved in order to sell these cups and drinks to go out. So as Mike said, I believe that if someone did not want to participate, they're not required to. But you'd have to somehow identify who's in and who's out, or you'd have customers trying to run from one to another.
Matt, I guess I interpreted it as being very flexible, or if you had a restaurant across town that wanted to be part of it, they could apply to be part of it and not have a physical presence in that district. They could pull their license over to there. So it is somewhat of a Bourbon Street of New Orleans, where you could, that I think is the goal of this, is that, and it's supposed to be flexible enough for our city to either bring up and bring down, or say it's only going to operate on Friday nights from 5 to 10.
Okay, so in that situation, let's just say like Fifth Avenue's got the band, okay, but the district includes down to Motor City Gas. Can Motor City Gas sell something to somebody who can then walk over to Fifth Avenue's band? I mean, I'm just sort of confused by that.
Yes. My interpretation is yes.
Yes, they can't consume it till they get there.
Whoa.
On a Sunday. What'd you say, Jennifer?
Jennifer said they can't consume it until they get there.
I don't think so, Jennifer. They would, as long as the district is the entire downtown.
Correct.
Correct.
The flip side of that is.
Oh, true. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a small area.
I want to make my point. If Fifth Avenue is having a band and everyone's going over to Fifth Avenue to have a band, that's going to inspire Motor City Gas or anybody else to compete with that and offer entertainment. And it becomes this, actually, it inspires everybody to work harder to get people to move around the city rather than just congregate in one area. So it's kind of a double-edged thing.
Yeah, and I think a good example is if let's say on a Sunday afternoon they want to close, the city wants to close Main Street, portion of Main Street, and have just like a walk around or entertainment or whatever. Some people sitting at Fifth Avenue can buy a drink and walk over to Main Street and see what's going on. I think, and so I think that's the positive aspect of the vehicle. I think, and just like you can say every Friday and Saturday from 5 to 9, it's the district's activated. You can activate it whenever you want. You can do it on a case-by-case basis. You don't have to have Friday and Saturday every week. You can say, like, for somebody that puts something together that invokes like some street presence and potential drinking and walking around, that's when you go to Tim or the chief and say, you know, I'd like to activate the district for this use. And I think that's a more controlled way, because you can do tickets. You can say, and when you buy a ticket, you agree to wear a face mask. You know, you can control it better. So that just makes a lot of sense that way.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Matt, and then I'll chime in.
Tim, so you said something, and I mean, you made a point, and here it is, it's July 15th, and it sounds like that okay, and suffice to say, we're just a group of smart people here, and we're wrestling with just figuring out what the heck this whole thing means and where it goes. Not to mention, it sounds like there's a lot of legwork that needs to be done. In other words, each individual entity who sells alcohol has to go get permitted. Through the state, correct? So,
Correct.
so by the time this, I mean, this thing, and let's just back up to the beginning of this meeting in the last few months and all the stuff that we've done to try to save all of our places downtown, and we're literally just getting those into place now, and hopefully starting to see the fruits of those labors. Man, I would hate to risk jumping into something right now where just talking around, we're not even sure what this all entails, what everybody else is going to do, what the positives, what the negatives are. You know, we haven't really fleshed this thing through. We've got a lot of other stuff coming up. We've got, I mean, yeah, we want to do everything we can to make Royal Oak cool and make it happen, but we've got 4 years left of this program. I would make the suggestion that we take a deep breath and we get through this summer with the stuff that we've got right now, and see where we are and do it right.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree in the sense, Matt, that I think at the end of the meeting, if the board has any interest in pursuing this, obviously you can refer it to one of your committees. You can start working on it. You can start, you know, Mike can talk to the Restaurant Association to see if there's any interest there. I think this is really something that you are looking to put together and maybe launch in the spring of 2021 and say, here we go. After, you know, let's say as a replacement to these temporary COVID-19 permits that we're issuing that are, you know, we're doing what we can with those, but I don't think a lot of those are a permanent solution or a permanent fixture. So I think tying it into taking some time and doing it right, but, you know, refer it to a committee if you have any interest. If you don't have any interest in it, then it's fine, but we'll let it go.
Okay. So I'm just going to make a couple comments and reiterate what some of you have already said here. I agree with Matt on a couple key points in terms of I don't want the city of Royal Oak to be to go into this in the experimental mode. I don't think we should be in an experiment. If we're going to make a plan, let's make the plan. Let's make it a solid plan, so we take out a lot of the guesswork about some of the things that may or may not transpire. Tim, I do have one question for you. In the legislation, does it give the governing body the ability to set dates, times, hours, and so forth that a social district is permitted?
Muted, Tim.
Muted, Tim.
I would say yes. If you read into it, it says if the governing body of local government designates the common area under this section shall establish a management maintenance plans not limited to hours of operation for the common area, submit those plans. So I think that what it opens it up to is for the local unit to
Set its own guidelines.
Yeah.
plan and submit it to the state for the state's review and approval.
Okay.
Mike,
So just a couple more comments and then I can be done with this. I like the idea of this because it's an outdoor facility. And I like the idea that I somewhat, and I'm not sure I'm disagreeing with Director Yesbick, but I think where Director Gesbeck is talking about is more along the lines of special events and special permits, which would, I think, be combined with this, but separate from this. I'm looking at more of the day-to-day type things with this. And I like the idea of the outdoor service. In fact, in my industry, I believe that we're getting closer and closer to the possibility of just being able to do outdoor service and not having inside service whatsoever. So if that be the case, yes, I would like to, as an individual restaurant owner, be able to sell somebody a beer or margarita or a cocktail and allow them to take it off the premise and walk around downtown Royal Oak and enjoy one of the other establishments at some point in their walking around. So in that aspect of it, I think it's a good idea. Tim pointed out at our last meeting, and I think it makes absolute sense, is the bigger the district is, the less we're going to have congregating in one particular area. And if there's anything else to pass on, Tim, to the commission, me personally, and I don't know how everybody feels about this, I'm not in favor of the street closures, because I think the street closures will tend to make people gather in larger groups in one specific area. I'm picturing this as being something as just a normal day of business on a Wednesday night in downtown Royal Oak, and maybe nothing's happening, but they can take, if they go into a designated restaurant, they can get a drink and they can take it and they can move on and simply walk down the sidewalks and take their stroll through Royal Oak and see what's to have to offer, Royal Oak has to offer, and everything else too. So there is a lot of positive and there is a lot of negative. I do agree with Tim my last point is this, is I don't want this to, I believe that the COVID outdoor expanded space thing is a positive thing. I think it's working well at the establishments that are doing it. I've noticed it in some other cities also. And I think it will give the DDA and Royal Oak an opportunity going into 2021 to maybe expand upon that program. Even if there is no COVID or anything else, I think it's something that we would take a look at doing more so on a permanent type basis moving forward. And I don't want this program to hinder that program. In other words, I don't want Tony at Fifth to have this great patio that he's built and it fill up, and then all of a sudden he has another 100 people standing around the outside of his patio, which is something he may or may not want to happen, at that point. So that being said, I also agree with Tim that, yes, we're going to close these patios down on August 31st. Even the regular patios are coming down on August 31st at this point. October, I'm sorry, in October. So and Matt makes a very good point. The regulation process that we have to go through in Lansing and what the city would have to do to really get the planning down on this is going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. And then that's just going to eat into more of August. And what do we have left? So I like the idea of kind of tabling it or keeping it on the back burner, or one of the committees start working on it now for 2021, as Tim suggested. But to dive into this without having everything in place makes me a little bit nervous, I guess.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Yesvik.
Yes, I agree with all that, but I do think there is some potential positive use for the concept. So I would like to recommend, the best example off the top of my head is the Metro Times blowout. That could be very cool with people because you got different attractions and different venues. could be very cool to allow people to walk around a little bit in a social district. So anyway, my suggestion would be to refer it to the Business Marketing Committee. I mean, I think this is kind of business oriented, and see if we can put some parameters on it that make sense and bring it back.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Tim, are you okay with this conversation and in terms of your feedback to the commission?
Well, I'm not taking anything back to the commission.
Okay,
If
you're just doing it at the staff level. Okay.
Yeah, if the business marketing committee with staff wants to investigate it more, if you would like me to invite the police chief and the city attorney to have part of the discussion on it to see where it's going, I think that's all possible. Until the DDA actually took an action to recommend something to the city commission, I wouldn't refer this back to the commission.
Okay. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I'm comfortable with that action.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Any further discussion regarding this?
So we'll refer it to the business marketing committee and go from there.
Okay.
Mike, one thing I just wanted to bring out,
Sure.
the Port Huron thing, and they're saying that their district would operate, this is the answer to your question, May 1st to October 31st, operation 7 days a week. The common areas would be open from the time participating license holders open for business until midnight. So it certainly seems that the district can set their days and hours.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we'll refer that back. Moving on, item number 9, authorization to release final rebound payments.
As indicated, the payments have gone out based on the DDA's resolution, which is included in your packet. About 4 to 6 weeks after the payments went out, the DDA would consider making the final payments to those businesses that remained open. You'll see that we've distributed about $563,600 in allocations or awards out of the total amount awarded. So there's about a balance of $617,275 that could be distributed to those businesses that are still open. So there is a suggested resolution there if we want to authorize staff to make the check request so that those awards could go out with the next check run.
Okay, Director Riley.
Yeah, real quick question, Tim. Are we still going on what we had talked at the BMC? In other words, it'd probably be cut next week, in other words, and then Sean would be able to distribute them the week of the 27th. Does that sound right?
Yeah, the 21st is the deadline to submit them, and I believe they're issued on the 28th.
Okay, great. So later the last, so at the very end of the month, they'd be going out to, perfect. Okay. I'll move to cut them.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Director Riley and a second by Director Krieger. Any discussion regarding this?
Get her done.
Yeah, it's pretty much what we said we were going to do. So, okay, if not, I will call for the vote. Roll call vote, please. Director Baglio. You're on mute, Gary.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Yesvik.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Riley.
Aye.
Director Rosbeck.
Aye.
Director Krieger.
Aye.
And I will vote aye also. That motion passes. Okay. Last item, item number 10, other business and reports.
I've got at least 3 items that I'd like to at least make the board aware of. The first one is the park design for the downtown park has reached its 90% design phase. I believe, Jason, there's a meeting tomorrow that you're participating in, or committee meeting?
Me. I guess so.
All right. Well, there might be. I can share that with the board so you can see where the plans are at. It's too big to send out via email, so I'll probably simply post it somewhere for you to be able to take a look at it.
All right.
If the committee doesn't post it already, I'll let you know where that link is. I just wanted to update you on that. Second item I have is City Hall. The new building will be finished shortly. The move from the old City Hall to the new City Hall will take place in August, shortly right after the election, the August 4th election. Therefore, part of the move, WROK and the IT equipment will be down for at least a week. And that week happens to fall at your next meeting, which is August 19th. So we either need to reschedule the date of the August meeting or simply cancel it. One of those two options are up to the board. What I would point out is there are not very many dates in August that are open for a meeting. We would be looking primarily at Wednesday, August 26th, or Thursday, the 27th. Pretty much every other day is either occupied or down because of the move. So I would be looking for either a motion to reschedule the meeting or to simply cancel it.
I think the only thing I can think of that would be pressing at that point would be parking, on how we're going to handle parking in September.
That would be correct. That'd be the one item I would potentially have.
So is there some way we can address that without having a whole big to-do?
Nope, you'd have to have a meeting. But I think, like I say, the dates that are really there are, the shutdown date is August 11th through the 19th. The zoning board has taken the August 20th date. I don't think you want to meet on a Friday. But
We can't make a motion to accept whatever the infrastructure committee comes up with.
no. So really,
So how about August
perhaps
26th?
26th or 27th would be the.
All right, I'll make a motion to move the August meeting to August 26th.
Motion by Director Krieger,
Second.
second by Director Baglio. Discussion? Yeah, I think, Tim, you said you had some infrastructure committee stuff. I don't know if that's going to require DDA approval also, so.
It could, and it depends on whether they, whether it's sufficient or not. We have 2 facade applications that we're still waiting on more information, and we have an update on the alley lighting proposal. So
Okay, all right, so let's shoot for August 26th then.
Just to add to that, I was talking with Siren today, and there's been a couple changes with some of the costs that they've been dealing with, and I'm not sure if we can administratively deal with that, Tim, or
No, I was going to bring up one of them right after.
Okay, because there will be another issue that it may require board action.
Well, right after they vote on this, moving the meeting, we can talk about at least one of the Siren requests.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table, and it's been seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Roll call. Director Baglio.
Aye.
Director Yesbeck.
Aye.
Director Riley.
Yes.
Director Rosbeck. You're muted, Director Rosbeck.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Krieger.
Aye.
And I will vote aye also. Motion passes. Back to you, Tim.
Well, as Sean said, he's had some communication with Siren. They actually sent over an invoice for website development, about $2,180. I'll let Sean walk through a couple of the things that we kind of wanted to bring to the board for direction. So I don't know, Sean, you can kind of wander through them.
Sure. Yeah, I think the biggest issue right now is the invoice that we received that was passed on through Siren to us for the website of the visitroyaloak.com address. The total came into about $2,100, which is not something that the DDA was expecting to see. Now, I will say that we have run into a couple incidental expenses here and there. I think there was a couple $100 to create window decals that didn't seem tremendously significant in terms of the expense. There was another quote that we received to get a MailChimp account at $15 a month. Again, didn't really seem that significant of an expense. But when we received the add-on of the $2,100 for the visitroyaloak.com site, needless to say, we were a little surprised by that. So that's been submitted as an add-on to the invoice of Siren's normal retainer to run our newsletter. So that we're submitting to the board to let you know that it's in there. Again, it does fall below the $3,000 mark. However, it is part of an agreement with Siren. So I'm actually looking for some kind of direction as to whether or not this requires board action or not.
Sean, real quick, just run through why you're surprised by it. Were you, because did you think that would be covered? I'm just trying to understand. Did you think that'd be covered in their retainer, or?
I did think that it would be covered in their retainer, that, we're paying them a monthly fee to basically administrate and execute everything. So I was surprised to see it as a separate item in their invoice. I have talked to both Siren and the contractor about this. The contractor, who was, approached by Siren to do this work, was originally told to invoice us. I said that no, Siren had outsourced that to them, so Siren has to invoice us on this. Consequently, as a courtesy, the contractor did agree to discount his price $900 to make it easier for us. And I have talked to Siren. Siren did have a meeting this morning and spoke to their staff about, the practices that we as a public agency have to adhere to in terms of spending. So I don't anticipate that we will see any more surprises like this in the future, because they have addressed it with their staff on how they bill things and how we have to be, apprised of estimates and quotes that have to be approved before we just see an invoice. So there you have it.
And that was my question when Sean sent it on to me is, yes, under the bylaws, I can authorize a payment under $3,000. But my question was, well, wasn't this included in their contract? Because their contract talks about doing a newsletter that is on email and on those things. And so my question was, isn't everything that's required to accomplish that activity part of the monthly retainer fee for that service? And that's what I wanted to make sure that the board had some understanding of what was in that contract and what potential add-ons might be. As Sean said, the MailChimp item went from a $15 quote to I believe over $100 a month. So there are some things that I want to make sure what we're getting in the retainer contract.
And one thing I'll say, and part of that I'll have to take responsibility for in terms of confusion, because I know at first when I'd gone Siren and talked about going out of quote unquote the scope of their normal work, at first I kind of thought it was going to be something that they had based their original their retainer on hours, and they were going to just say, all right, if we go beyond these hours, here's what we'll do. And then it kind of changed as this thing kind of matured a little bit, that if it was out of the scope, that they would have to outsource and they would go to different things. Yeah, you know what, maybe, and again, maybe we sit down with them and just so we're clear, unless Sean, you're clear going forward now, that we know, hey.
The one thing I did want to make sure, and I think Sean passed along, was they cannot obligate the DDA to an expense that's not part of the contract. They can't just go out and hire an outside contractor to do work that's not included in some fashion. So, anyways.
And the only thing on the positive side I'll say is that the landing page I think is fantastic, and I've actually had other compliments on it. Not that and then again, I will take full blame on this screw up, but on the other hand, in the Rebound, the $2 million budget, I do have a placeholder for a quote unquote siren additional that was for some of these things. So.
Yeah, I'll echo that. The website, we've received all kinds of compliments on it. In fact, the Drew and Mike show reached out and asked me who the web developer was because they were so impressed with it. So we're getting a lot of positive feedback on it. I think aside from the procedural issue that we ran into with this that we're attempting to resolve here, I will say that $2,100 for that kind of website is actually a really good deal. So.
Well, and again, it does, and I have to take blame for this because I don't think in haste, I don't think we ever made it clear, like, okay, what's your normal scope, what's additional, and here's what happens when you come to additional. So, Sean, if you feel comfortable that that's good, then we'll let it go. If not, we'll just have a sit down and make sure that we're all clear so we don't get any more surprises.
Yeah, I would just request a motion to pay the $2,180.
Okay. I'll move to pay it.
Okay, motion by Director Riley,
I'll second.
second by Director Rosbeck.
Is that
further
all break?
discussion?
All break.
Yeah,
Welcome, Mr. Brake.
It's Mr. Victor.
Yeah, the discussion on the motion right now. That's where we're at.
I just want,
I have a comment.
Okay.
When you deal with agencies, retainers are one thing. I think and I've kind of been saying this along the way, is we really need to get to a point where you have more of an SOW in front of you on what your deliverables are and have them scope it out. And they should be able to do that and do that pretty efficiently. I think the reason this didn't get done efficiently is due to the volume and the speed in which we were going. I mean, I can give them a pass for this, but in my expertise as a marketing person, they should have been able to give all these upfront costs in a more relative term.
Okay. Anybody else? Director Baglio.
just have a comment about the site. It comes up as not secure. Can you have them get a valid certification?
Yeah, I can have them do that.
Thanks.
Sean, did you want to give some updates on where we're at, and then I had a couple questions with where
Yeah.
We need a vote still.
I need to deal with it. That's okay. No problem. No problem. I just need to deal with the motion that's on the table. Any further discussion at this point? Director.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
This is on the rebound payments that you're speaking of.
We're on to other business and reports at this point, and it was brought to our attention by Tim and Sean that there was an additional cost that was submitted by Siren involved in the Rebound program for dealing with some website issues.
Okay, all right, I apologize.
That's where we're at with this right now. We have already authorized on item number 9. We've already authorized and voted on that.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we're voting on the issue right now just for Director Brake's concern here. We're voting on the issue right now to go ahead and pay the invoice. And we do have a motion on the table. We have a second. Any further discussion on this? Okay. I'm going to make a roll call vote here, please. Director Baglio.
Aye.
Director Yesbick.
Aye.
Director Riley.
Yes.
Director Rosbeck.
Aye.
Director Krieger.
Aye.
And Director Brake.
Yes.
Okay, and I will vote aye. Okay, so that motion does pass. Before I go back to Director Riley, Tim, did you have any other business or reports that you wanted to bring to the table?
No, that's all I had.
Okay. Director Riley, you had some comments?
No. I think Sean's just going to give an update on where we are in all the programs, and where we're going.
Okay. I'll go to you, Sean.
Okay, just really briefly, let me just start with the grants first. We got the second round of grants out. That was the 25%. So they were mostly salons that we handed out this time. So we're going to have the last round of grants. Those checks will be cut on July 28th, and then I'll go door to door and hand those out. And that should be the last round of checks, provided people are still open. So I think that's something that Tim and I are going to have to coordinate on what to do with some of those businesses that have been open and then closed again. Next, as far as ride sharing, we do have the Lyft code, go to RO, that is live, that is operational. I don't have any metrics on that yet. They're going to give me monthly stats on that. So Lyft does it monthly. Uber actually has a real-time dashboard I can access. I have been getting a lot of positive feedback about Lyft. One piece of negative feedback I have heard from some people is that Lyft is sometimes hard to find at this time during everything. As far as Uber, we ran into some issues initially with the contract because they wanted to be paid in ways other than us just sending a check in response to an invoice. Our finance department is not comfortable with that on a regular basis. So we had to go kind of around with Uber on a couple of occasions to negotiate how we can pay them. Recently, they reached back out to me and they said that they will be taking a check once everything is said and done at the end of a 90-day period. So they are now revising that contract and they're going to be sending it to me. Once I get it, I will send it to the executive director and the city attorney for review. So we did kind of have a win there in which they came around and said that they're willing to work with us in terms of how we pay them. So that is ongoing, and I'll keep the board apprised of details as that continually develops. Now add on to the fun stuff with the downtown dollars. That's been taking up, I think, the majority of my time since it has launched on Monday morning. So from Monday morning until now, we have over 11,000 subscribers. This is 4 times the amount I had predicted. I thought we were going to get about 2,500 to 3,000 on Friday. So it's already Wednesday. We're 3 days into it and we have 11,000. So I have been working with the city. We're going to get the rest of the 400,000 sent over to Yifty by Monday so that we can fulfill all of the requests up to 20,000, because I'm sure we'll probably reach 20,000 by the beginning of next week. So that's performing wildly popular. So I was interviewed by Channel 4 on Monday, and I was interviewed by Channel 7 earlier today about that. So since the Channel 4 article went, we got 3,000 additional subscribers within 2 hours of that. So it's tremendously successful. We're going to have a lot of subscribers. Our next challenge is keeping those subscribers so that they just don't sign up and then unsubscribe. I have my list of people who have already signed up to get their card and then promptly unsubscribed. So I have that list of people and their email addresses. So we can talk about what we want to do with those and whether they still qualify for cards. I would say they don't, but so I'm able to track that too. So I think in terms of keeping those subscribers, I think that's where that loyalty card will come in. So long as they continue to be subscribed, they will know what to do with that loyalty card. They will continually get updates on where they can take it and what kind of deals they will be able to get to. We can regularly check our subscriber list too, and anyone who's unsubscribed, we will have a running list of that that updates in real time. So if we want to remove somebody from the loyalty card, we can always do that if they unsubscribe. So that is an option to us, is a way to maintain some sort of incentive to continue to receive notifications from us. I think that's an update. I'm not sure if I'm leaving anything out. I think we've covered everything. Covered the website, visit royaloak.com. We had so many people go to it the first day that it actually crashed for about 30 minutes, and I had to get our tech guy on the phone to get it live again. So it's actually kind of a good problem to have that people are going to it.
Okay. I see
Sean?
a couple hands here.
Do we?
Dr. Rossman, go ahead.
Sorry. Sean, do we know how many people are from Royal Oak that are taking advantage of the bucks?
I don't have that data right now. So we had the web guy. So the copy and everything was written by Siren. So Monday afternoon, I realized that we weren't getting zip codes from anybody. So I called up Siren to see if they could amend that sign up form so we could start getting zip codes. So that's now on the sign up form. You have to put your zip code in order to sign up for it. So, so that I will have access to that data here pretty soon.
Okay. Director Riley.
Yeah, so Sean, can I assume then the soonest we're gonna have Uber up, then we'll probably won't be till the end of August because we'll have to approve the contract, is that right?
Well, it's just a small part that's changed, and we did have in the original resolution that it's subject to changes by the city attorney and revisions. So I don't know. I defer to Tim on that, whether or not we'd have to resubmit that for approval.
No, I don't.
One section of it.
Yeah, there's no reason to bring it back. We're just
Oh, great.
all they're talking about is how payment's going to occur.
Okay, all right, so
It's just a small thing that we're changing in the contract so we can pay them.
okay, once we get that going, that'd be great. And of course, you know, I mean, Drew's still asking for metrics on that, so I'll tell him Lyft is once a month, but Uber, once we get going, will be a dashboard, right?
Another benefit to having Uber is the fact that they use Uber vouchers, which we actually have to send to people. So we can use our retained list of subscribers and send them Uber vouchers if we want to. So that could be another incentive to keep people signed up.
Okay, and Jennifer, the only thing I can answer on the zip code thing was when I was giving the podcast updates on the numbers, they were pretty surprised. I mean, they knew that a lot of their listeners would come hard, but the majority of their listeners, they are much stronger outside of Oakland County than they are in Oakland County. So it's suffice to say, I think you've got a lot of outside people who, you know, might not know. What I've been hearing from the people I've been hearing from, and again, there's already 11,000, but it's really a neat mix. And Sean, and like I've heard from a group of realtors that like stumbled upon it, and I think, you know, it's not just the typical when people think of, you know, Royal Oak, the people who come to the bars at night. I think this is a broad spectrum. Sean, were you serious, or were you teasing about the seniors talking about the internet?
Oh no, I've been tech support for 3 days, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, my phone's been blowing up.
One of the
senior
callers here.
Callers, yeah.
That's fantastic. So this is going across all demographics, which is exactly what we want. In that vein, let me throw something out there to you guys. We do still have some money in the rebound budget. Part was from this quote unquote sweep fund. And according to my calculations, we probably got, and I know I'm not down to the penny, but I would say that there's at least 200 plus that's unspoken for. To give you an example, in the currency, Sean, we originally had 500 grand. I know we have 400 for the card, 17 to Yifty. There was some production fees that I had in there, but I'm sure there's a little bit there. We still had what I called the fudge fund. There's still 70 grand left in that and 110 grand left in the other use. I don't know. This thing is successful. It's going out to people. Does anybody have the appetite? And if we do have the appetite for a little bit more in a phase 2, maybe we sit for a bit and then go with it. And my question, so it's a 2-part question. Do we have a taste for it because it's in the budget? And number 2, if we did, could we approve it here and release it when needed? So a 2-part question.
Okay. I know a lot of people want to talk here. Director Rossbeck, I'm going to go with you first.
So Matt, to answer your question, I'd have appetite to do a part 2 to this. I don't know if I'd do it at $20. I'd like to see how this goes, if people keep this or actually use it. So I want to make sure that this is being spent versus just sitting out there.
Okay, two things real quick with that, Jennifer. One of the reasons we went to $20 was we were worried that people wouldn't use it at the 10. In other words, what the deal that we have with Yifty is that after 90 days we get the money back less 10%. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we figured, well, with $10, they're less apt to use it than with 20. So we raised it to 20 so that we'd lower what we paid them on the 10%. that was just our thought in doing
So
that.
I guess I would just keep the amount open till we see what the results really are of the conversion on it.
Well,
I guess that's,
well, the one thing is, and that's fine. They have 90 days to use it.
Right.
And I guess my feeling is, if we knowing now that we're not going to meet for basically 6 weeks, and we're going to be subscribed out well before that, the momentum will have been gone, and you'll have to kind of reinvest the program.
no, all right, I get it. I understand where you're going. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
And I'm open to what you guys think.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Sean next. He looks like he's got some input here.
Well, I expect, I'll mind you that we had the 20,000 cards budgeted over 3 months. We wanted to get rid of 20,000 cards in a 3-month period of time. Based on what we're seeing now, I wouldn't be surprised if we go through 20,000 cards by the middle of next week. So I think 90 days from that, we'll see who uses it, and whoever doesn't use it will get refunded what's not used, and we might be dealing with a much bigger number, or, you know, we could get a little bit back. Either way, we'll have a clearer idea of how much money that we could probably put into some kind of phase 2 for the downtown dollars. In the past, the Business Marketing Committee has talked about maybe doing like a reload incentive, like you can reload your cards, or you can go and purchase a card and we'll match you, or something like that. That could still be an option. And then it could also be another way to retain people in that newsletter longer. You know, to say, well, our best subscribers, you know, they're actually rated by MailChimp by stars, you know, how many people open certain emails, how long they've been a subscriber, so on and so forth. So we'll actually have a performance review of all of our subscribers as well. We can even have that play into how we reward those people for engaging with the newsletter and engaging with downtown.
I think that's a good idea.
But Sean, so what you're saying is just don't do anything for 90 days. I mean, and that's fine and dandy. My point is, no matter what, if we the bottom line is the thing is successful, and the whole thing is to get money in people's hands and get people on that newsletter. Mm-hmm. You know, we got like I said, John texted me today when we went over 10,000. I said, well, now John, you just became an influencer. You got 10,000 subscribers, basically. Right. So which is kind of neat. Right. So the more people that go on there, the better, and we're kicking them an extra $20. And the more that we kick, I hate to say it, but based on percentage, the more we will get back at the end of 90 days. And that was what we would use for our Christmas bonus plan, whatever. If you buy a $100 card, we give you 120 or something like that. I'm saying, and again, we don't have to do it. We have the money in the budget now that if we wanted to say throw another 100,000 at this, when this ran out, or wait a few days and then just boom, we're back at it. We just got another, make a big splash about it a week later, and then we sit back. Then we sit back and wait and see what we get back from the 500.
Okay, Director Baglio.
I'm confused at the figures. How much do we have left to throw at it?
There's left in the Rebound budget. There's still about $200,000. I would recommend. My feeling would be, because this is hot. Because what you're going to have is you're going to have people who are going to be bummed out because they didn't get it, okay? So then all of a sudden you wait a couple of days and boom, our promo arms come out and say, guess what? Santa Claus just came with another 100. Sign up now. And boom, they're at it again. And again, the whole thing is, we're not spending a dime, well, except for the upfront fees, which are minimal, and the 10% back fee if they don't use it, until they use it. And it's meant to go out there and help our people.
I'm kind of torn on this. I'm trying to think of a way to, summertime is kind of a slower time for retailer. Once you get into September, October, people get more into the mindset of the holidays. And if there's a way to take a week or two, use the data that we're getting from MailChimp and Yifty on how it's being spent, and then come up with a program that could be launched end of summer, early fall, to kind of kickstart the holiday season.
The plan, Gary, just so you know, the plan is to take whatever comes back to us, which we estimate anywhere from 15 to 20%, okay? Whatever comes back to us, and use the cards again, but come out, use our now our brand spanking new email or newsletter list, and do something along a gift card idea for the holidays. Launch it maybe beginning of October, something like that, because that's about when the 90 days runs out. Is that right, Sean? Remind me? Yeah.
Yeah, about October.
And Gary, in other words, do something along the lines of a 20% bonus. So encourage our office workers maybe to get perks for their employees. People buy Christmas gifts for their family. So if you buy whatever you buy, the DDA will put an extra 20% on the card. So now they're going to purchase the card, but let's say they buy a $100 card, then they spend $100, they get 120, and they can only use it in downtown. That was the plan.
All right.
I guess my only question would be, and from what I'm hearing in the discussion is, this is more of a timing issue than anything else. It's just making sure that we're doing it in a time. And I agree with some of Matt's comments in terms of, we're hot right now in terms of this and to continue that on. But I also see that, maybe this would be good at a different point. So I guess one question I would ask, and maybe Matt, you or Sean could answer it, is let's say we've gone through this first round and we're out of money in the first round. And let's say we do round 2 and we run out of money at the end of round 2. How much, I know you said 15% is a estimate about what you think may get back. I guess I'm concerned about what's going to be at the end. And if we were to do a program that would lead us into, like you said, Matt, lead us into the holiday season and tie it into gift card, is there going to be enough funding in it at that point?
Well,
Are we going to have enough funding at that point to pull off that kind of a program?
well,
I guess that's my question.
and I'll make it simple. As I said, right now we're sitting on, let's say, approximately 200 still in the Rebound program. Okay, so let's assume that we spend another 100 and we don't get anything back. And let's say that in the meantime that we find 30 grand worth of other stuff that we've got to spend stuff on because we've been through most of it. Okay,
Right.
So we have 70 grand, and if we're doing a 20% program, I mean, you're talking about, people buying, if we had 100 grand sitting there and people went out and bought $400,000 worth of gift cards, we'd spend 80,000 on that.
Okay.
I would be bouncing off the ceiling if people bought $400,000 worth of Royal Oak gift cards.
So I think I might have maybe I got confused and I heard something different. So are you suggesting or thinking along the lines of in a round 2, using $100,000 as a figure in round 2?
Yes. Yeah. I just, and you know what, maybe I'm crazy, but I just think it'd be kind of a cool thing. Sean, you tell me what you think. I mean, that if we, all of a sudden we run out and we're oversubscribed and, then all of a sudden, maybe 3 or 4 days later, or we wait a little bit, you and Siren determine the timing and we just go, boom, there's another 100 there. And now the feeding frenzy starts again.
So I think we're going to have, we're just the rate of things increasing. I think we're going to have it oversubscribed. So we're going to end up having more subscribers than we have cards to distribute initially. I think that'll level off after all the money's been dispersed. And then we'll probably see a lot of unsubscriptions, not significant amounts, but I think it'll be steady until we have some other thing to get people to sign up again, or at least retain the people we do have. So it'll ebb and flow for a while.
Well, I have a question. When the 20,000th and first person hits that email, what happens?
They sign up, and then everybody else who's beyond that, we're going to have to send them we've reached the limit.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
the
money's gone. The money's gone.
Yeah, you might want to. That's a negative.
I mean, I'll finesse it. I'll let them down easy. I mean, I won't tell it like that, but.
No. We got to figure out a way that people know that when that happens, that the money's not there. You don't want to turn a positive into a negative. It's a negative when somebody signs up expecting the money and you're like, hey, thanks for your email address. You're not getting anything. I'm not saying that we got to shut the site down. But there's got to be a plan put in place ASAP for when that happens.
So, yeah, they have something posted so that they can.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
maybe
we'll
even
have to put something on the website.
so that they read something before they actually even
Yeah,
submit.
we'll have to have something posted on there.
Okay.
So
All
like
right, one last question.
when we approach the 20,000, we could say, I think we should give people a fair warning when we're running low, to let people know like we are running low. So here's you sign up now in the next 24 hours because it is running low. And then
Well,
once
I think
we
that's something
surpass
you
that, we'll have to put something live on the website just to say, you can still sign up for the newsletter, but the promotion of $20 gift cards has now ended.
Okay, so two things, Sean. One is you're going to have to get on that right away because you're talking about this going down very quickly as it goes. And then number two is just to verify the dates and times here so we don't have confusion is you don't, in no way, shape, or form do you anticipate that that we will still be subscribing people through the month of August.
Well, people can still
that's
sign
not
up for.
going to happen.
I mean, if somebody still wants to sign up for the newsletter because they genuinely want
But
to,
the funding's going to run out before the end of August.
We're already at like 55% of our goal here, and it's been 3 days. So
My guess is, Mike, it'll be gone by Monday.
Okay. So my guess is that Mr. Twing's going to tell us that if we're going to take some action, we need to do so today.
Oh, there's no question. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Well, I think you can either make a motion to authorize another $1,000 from the budgeted rebound program towards this, or you could make the motion to budget the balance of what's in there, and we'll figure out what the actual balance is and go from there. I am pretty confident there's probably at least 100,000 in the balance. And beyond that, you have a fund balance in your 2021 fiscal year budget that you can dip into in September or October if there's another program you want with it. So.
And there's like 1.4 in that, Tim, or we just keep the parking 1.2.
Yeah, it's over a million. I'm not sure where the point goes.
Okay, so what's the board's wishes here? I think Mr. Twing laid it out. Do we want to select a dollar amount and continue this program as the funds?
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to go for it. I'll make the motion to allocate the balance of the rebound to gift cards.
Okay. So I have a motion by Director Rosbeck.
My only question is, without knowing a hard number, I think Sean, that might be a little tough. Or will you guys determine the hard number?
I'm going to have to determine the hard number. So when we send Yifty the next payment, I'd like to have that just rolled into that payment too, so we don't have to make two payments.
Right.
So that we just have that in our balance with them. So I don't run into a situation in which we run short of funds again, and then I have to wait for a check run or something. So
I guess that's my question. That was my understanding from Mr. Thwing, was that by making the motion on the balance, I'm not setting you to a hard number that you'll surpass potentially.
yeah, I mean, I'll have to know it because at some point it'll run out eventually, and I'll need to know when to start putting up the notifications on the website.
The balance is going to be simple enough to determine. We can do it in the morning, and we're going to let you know what it is. You allocated $2 million to the whole project, and you paid out it for various things, and what's left is what's left. I just don't have that number on top of my head.
Okay.
Matt, is this something that you would have done?
What's that?
You know this program inside and out. Is this
I would have gone. I would have gone 100 just because I always like to have a little bit left over for things like the 2100 that came out of the website that we didn't expect. I always like holding a little bit back. So I mean, I just thought 100 would be neat because that way we could end up saying, you know what, we threw $500,000 out there, and it's a simple number, and we know how many. It's 25,000, and 25,000 subscribers. And, you know,
Guessing I'm allowing you, I feel like that motion's allowing you to put 100 if you wanted to. If the balance is 102,000,
no, that's a good call. That's a good call. And the other thing is just to make, you know, just so that way we don't have any hurt feelings. I mean, I can see that, you know, one thing none of us planned on was being subscribed this quickly. So all of a sudden, you know, it just dawned on me while we were talking here that somebody's going to apply one maybe at midnight, you know, Sunday night, and we're going to be out of money.
I'll just add that we've just added another 200 subscribers during this conversation. So
That's how it's been going. And again, I just, you know, it's kind of neat. I don't know if you guys have been listening to the podcast, but it's a nice little avenue to have that we can control it literally by the minute and just feed, you know, just tell them, all right, sit tight on this, go with this today. And he's mentioning 5, 6, 7, 8. He has the whole list of everybody. And it's kind of cool to see the way it's going down.
Okay.
Did we get a support to the motion?
Yeah, we have a motion on the table right now.
Did someone support it?
I'll support if nobody else has.
Okay. Motion by Director Rosbeck, supported by Director Brake. Or I'm sorry, was it Director Brake? Or was
Krieger.
that- Oh, Director Krieger? Was that you?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't see you on the screen. That's why I got confused. Okay, so motion by Director Rosbeck, second by Director Krieger. Any further discussion?
The only last thing I'll add is Sean, we do need to hold back a little bit because, well, no, I take that back because there was a little chunk that we had in there for loyalty cards, for like the printing of the cards or however we did that. So
Okay.
that's something we'll still get to.
Well, just for clarity, if you authorize the balance towards this, all of it's going towards this.
Well, does that mean it all has to go towards it, or we have the authority to move it all towards it?
No, the board would be authorizing the entire balance to go towards.
oh,
All right, then,
I'll revise my,
Okay.
all right. I make a motion to allocate $100,000 toward the gift, the Rebound Royal Oak gift card
phase
program.
perfectly.
Okay. Will you support that, Director Krieger?
Yes.
Director Krieger will support that. Okay. Any further discussion? I'm calling for a roll call vote, please. Director Baglio,
Yes.
Director Yezbik,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director Krieger,
Aye.
Director Brake,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. That motion does pass. Okay. Does anybody have anything else they need to bring to the DDA? Director Riley.
Quick question for Director Brake and Tim. With Baker College taking over 420 South Lafayette, is Baker College a nonprofit or are they for-profit college? Does anybody know?
Well, the initial development would be through the development entity, which would be for profit.
Okay.
I can't tell you whether Baker is going to acquire the property. So I don't know their status as a nonprofit or not. But
Okay.
the developer that's actually building the building is an LLC. So
Okay.
initially it would be. I don't know down the road.
All right. Okay. Tim, did you anticipate the developer coming at us?
Coming at you for.
Who knows? I mean, some type.
To this point, no, they haven't
Okay.
any indications that they need any assistance from the DDA or any inklings. So.
Jennifer, do you know if Baker's for-profit or non-profit? Any
It's
idea?
for profit.
It is for profit. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing nothing. Director Krieger, would you like to make any motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Director Krieger,
Second.
second by Director Brake. No discussion on this? Roll call vote. Director Baglio,
Aye.
Director Yezbik,
Aye.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director Krieger,
Aye.
Director Brake,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. We are adjourned.